Time now for 1 full hour of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, your hosts, Marty Hough and 10-time NHRA winner Doug Herbert.
You're listening to The Straight Line on drag racing at MRN.com. Thanks for being here for our 1 hour of horsepower. Appreciate you joining us. Winners from the Carolina Nationals at zMAX Dragway this past weekend. Antron Brown from the Top Fuel ranks will be here. Funny car winner Del Worsham joins the show. And making history once again, Erica Enders-Stevens, the winner in Pro Stock, will be here as well. We're in the beams and set to launch another edition of The Straight Line. Welcome in across the country, around the world, wherever you may be. It is The Straight Line here on MRN.com. My name is Marty Hough. Thanks for being here and joining us actually on the telephone line right now from the West Coast out in Las Vegas is our own 4-time IHRA Top Fuel champion, 10-time NHRA National Event winner. Doug Herbert joins us. Doug, what are you doing in Las Vegas, dude?
Well, you know, I was at the races there in Charlotte all weekend, had a great time. We'll go over some of that, but I'm here at a Kia National Dealers Convention. Come to it every year the past few years because of Kia's involvement with brakes and what we're doing. So we're talking to all the Kia dealers around the country about how they can work with brakes and bring the brakes training program to their different towns and cities across the country. Speaking
of which, let's get to that first. Thursday night, a very successful, great event at the Brakes Gala down the road here at the Great Wolf Lodge. Just kind of bring us up to date on how that went for everybody.
Oh, we had an incredible night. We raised a bunch of money to do schools all around the country. Huge thanks to Felix Sabatis and actually Brian Hough, probably one of your relatives out in Oregon, the top alcohol funny car racer out there. He bought the 1937 Ford Street Rod. That was awesome. We're shipping that out to him in Oregon, so it'll be running around on the streets out there. Rusty Wallace's house sold twice. 2 people are going to go to Cabo for a week, so that's going to be a great time. Felix Sabatis bought that Corvette and a couple other things. He was on, as always. Roger Comstock, everybody that was there. It was a super night. It was a great night. Colonel Gray from the North Carolina Highway Patrol did an excellent job talking about the issues that Brakes is dealing with every day and how we're doing it and our partnership with the North Carolina Highway Patrol. So all in all, it was just an incredible night. If anybody missed it, don't miss it next year. We do it every Thursday before the fall zMAX drag race. So it was a super event, and just really glad that you were there, Marty, and several of our guys from MRN were there, and it was great.
Yeah, a fantastic event, and we'll be talking a lot more about that next year. Want to talk about a bit of a bombshell just before we got on the air here, Doug. Steve Torrance Racing announcing that they have hired Alan Johnson to do the tuning work, or at least work shoulder to shoulder with Richard Hogan, starting this weekend on Steve's Top Fuel car, and trying to get back. Obviously, if you want somebody to tune, somebody that has as much experience as Alan Johnson, I mean, he's the guy to do it. Just kind of your reaction that Alan Johnson is going to be working for Steve Torrance at least during the countdown.
Well, Alan and Richard Hogan have worked together quite a bit over the past 20 years, so that I think that'll probably be a real good thing there. I think it was a great move by Steve Torrance and his team. I mean, hey, if Alan Johnson is available and you've got a chance to snap him up and have him come help you, pretty good move, I think, on Steve Torrance's part. He's number 9 in points, 130 out of the points lead, which is not insurmountable with 5 races left. Torrance basically has to go out there and just pick up over a round per race on Antron, which is not going to be easy, but I think he's done the right thing and put himself in a good position probably for the rest of the year. A couple other things that happened last week, and that, while I'm still on the phone, I wanted to talk about Clay Millican, number 1 qualifier. Top Fuel. That was great. I was happy to see Clay. I wish they could have parlayed that into a win, but it was neat to see him grab that number 1 qualifier spot, and I know him and his team were pretty proud of that. Of course, Erica winning. Happy to have her up on the show. I'm sorry I won't get a chance to talk to her, but not only did she win, but 3 races in a row, passed Shirley on the all-time win list, won on a hole shot, and she's got a big points lead. The other competitors in Pro Stock, they've got their work cut out for them if they're going to try and catch Erica Enders.
Yeah, no question about that. Especially with when you have that sort of points lead after the first round. I mean, I don't want to say, and this is something I'm going to ask her, but when you've got 4 rounds on your nearest competitor, I think right now your biggest opponent is complacency.
Right. She has to go out there and continue to do what she's doing and drive like a champion, drive like she did at Charlotte and Indy and the previous and Brainerd. I mean, she has to continue driving like that. And if she does, they're going to have a hard time getting her, you know. And then you've got Del Worsham had a great win. That was a perfect time to win his first race of the year, catapult to number 1 in the points. You know what? I hope Worsham and the Coletta crew can pull it off. They're in the great position now. And same thing, they've got to be looking forward, not behind them, and they got to make sure that there's no mistakes. And then Antron and that team with Brian Karate and Mark Oswald, what can you say? I mean, they're just tough.
Yeah.
Antron does a great job, the team stuff. If they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to be in a pretty good spot. And then over there in motorcycle, Andrew Hines and the Vance and Hines guys, I mean, I wouldn't bet against them.
No.
You know, I just wouldn't.
2 in a row for them at zMAX, as they were the winners also. Andrew Hines' crew was the winner also in the spring event at the 4 wides. Something that was a big factor this weekend at zMAX were oil downs. Especially on Sunday. I mean, it was a huge problem. NHRA came out late yesterday and announced that they are reducing penalties for oil downs effective immediately, and at the same time working with teams to find out some technical solutions. As of right now, the oil down penalties for fines will be capped at $3,000. Now, of course, they've taken the points penalties away heading into the countdown, so we're not affecting the championship by an oil down penalty. I mean, nobody wants that. Just kind of wanted to get your reaction. First of all, just on the oil down situations in general, and then kind of making it easier on some of these teams. Terry McMillan probably being the one guy that is in the spotlight, as he said he may be done for the rest of the year. He's at the end of his financial rope. And so just kind of give me your reaction on that a little bit.
Well, Marty, I think the long and the short of it is no top fuel team or funny car team is going to go out there and oil the track down on purpose. They're just not, you know, because if you oil the track down, it's going to cost you as a team owner a lot of money. I mean, the oil just doesn't run out of the engine onto the track. It comes out of the engine because it's blown up. So there's, a couple issues there. Are they blowing them up on purpose? Well, of course not. Is there more that they can do to contain that oil? Or do they need to bring somebody in to help them run the car so that it doesn't oil down? Yeah, probably so. But then you got a guy like Terry McMillan that last week, I can't remember what it was like $14,000 or $15,000 they oiled him down for oiling down the track. Well, that's a big hit to his budget.
Yeah.
So I don't think that what they were doing there as far as the fine is just not good, because you're going to chase everybody away. You've got Pat Dakin and you've got Terry McMillan. You've got some guys that come out there and run once in a while, and they're not trying to oil the track down. And if you hurt those guys, then unfortunately it hurts the sport. They're not going to be able to come back. So I think it's good that the NHRA backed off on that. Years ago they used to have a top fuel nitro, I don't know what you called it, consultant, I guess, basically. It was Ray Alley, it was Dan Olson, it was Lee Beard. I think they need to get back into the position where they have a guy like that that's an experienced crew chief that can go around and look at the guys' cars that are having problems and offer suggestions and even give them some help. I think that's really what needs to be done, and hopefully NHRA will take that position on it. I think that they did make a good decision by backing down the financial penalties, because you're already wounded when you blew up your engine, and then they come and slap you with a fine. I don't know. That just doesn't seem fair to me either.
Yeah. NHRA said in the release that the NHRA technical department will share oil down data across all teams, along with the safety safari and other alliances with new techniques. Also, NHRA working on new techniques to speed up cleanups as well. How much do teams kind of share that? They're not sharing racing data, but ideas on how to prevent oil downs when those things occur, Doug?
I think they share them quite a bit. And, the issue with why is it oiling down more on Sunday than it is on, qualifying, the cars have a oil pan pressure switch on them, which basically is monitoring when the oil pan pressure builds up. Well, the oil pan pressure builds up when it's getting ready to blow up.
Yeah.
So in qualifying, that comes on and it'll either shut off the car or activate a light in the driver's compartment so that the driver knows they can shut it off. They should shut it off because it's getting ready to be ugly and possibly all the track down. Well, unfortunately, pretty much everybody unconnects those on Sunday. Because on Sunday you want to get to the finish line first, whether it's blown up or not. At the same point, if you've got a light in the car that comes on and the guy that you're racing is way out in front of you, you know what? Shut it off.
Yeah. Some interesting news and a great weekend at zMAX Dragway, and as well as the Brakes Gala earlier this week. Doug, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Good luck at the Kia Dealers Convention. Easy for me to say.
You combine those words, Marty.
I'm really good at that too. And we'll see you next week, man.
Hey, great weekend this last weekend. Please congratulate all the winners for me. I'm sorry I couldn't be on the call, and I'll be here at the Kia Dealers meeting. Hopefully, bringing brakes to town near all of our listeners.
Absolutely. That's Doug Herbert calling us from Las Vegas, and he will be back with us next week. When we return, we will talk to the driver of the Matco Tools Top Fuel Dragster for Don Schumacher Racing. Antron Brown joins us next.
This is The Straight Line. More right after this.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Race fans, NASCAR returns to Kansas Speedway Sunday, October 18th. It's the 5th race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. NASCAR's finest are all in, including Jeff Gordon in his final full-time season race at Kansas.
And Jeff Gordon is right where he needs to be.
Park free, coolers welcome. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 Sprint Cup Series race, $99 or less. Kids tickets, just $29 at 866-460-RACE or KansasSpeedway.com.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now here's Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
Thanks for being with us here on The Straight Line, and join on the telephone line the winner of the Top Fuel Division in the Carolina Nationals, driver of the Matco Tools Top Fuel Dragster for Don Schumacher Racing. Antron Brown joins us. Antron, thanks for being here. Congratulations.
Marty, it's great to be here, brother. That means anytime we're on the straight line, we did something right and tight, man. And
yeah.
Hey, man, to sneak out with that win there and at Charlotte zMAX Dragway, man, it was tricky that weekend, man, with the hot temperatures and just to navigate down that racetrack, man, it was tricky. And Brian Karate, Mark Oswald, and all of our Matco Tools boys and team just did an incredible job, man, and it feels good to get a great start off to the countdown.
We were just talking to Doug Herbert. I think you got probably the last end of that. You were there on Saturday morning at the Hot Rods and Hotcakes event, and during that, you told the fans that you weren't quite sure exactly what you had by Saturday morning. On Saturday afternoon, did you have a better handle on it?
Absolutely. Like Friday, you know, we just pressed too hard the first session. Like, you know, we were pressing hard, and then by Friday night, they just had some other issues that were going on, and it was hard for everybody in the right lane to really get a grasp of the racetrack. Like, you know, nobody in the right lane was even in the top 8 of top fuel because they just couldn't get down and grasp, and then and the track just was just getting slick and dry on the starting line. And then when we came back Saturday, the safety safari came back in that morning, and they did a really great job on the racetrack, where the racetrack was starting to come around more and more. And then we were able to lay down 2 good runs, which we were the quickest the first session and second quickest the second session, to really set us up for the same conditions that we're going to race in on Sunday. And I think that's what really gave us a good head start on the next day and gave us some confidence going in to know what we need to do to go out there and execute. And our plan worked right to where we wanted to work at. And I was able to give our car was very, very consistent and quick and fast on Sunday. And when you have your car and our team is gelling and working in symmetry like that, those types of results happen, and you're able to hold that wally up at the end of the day. So that's what I told, my team definitely, my hat's off to them for that hard-fought battle that we were in on Sunday, and they stuck with it every round.
You talked about the conditions and the track, a fairly new surface, and conditions that we don't normally see in September. I mean, it was hot, it was greasy. How much of the tune and how much of the driving is kind of from the seat of your pants on a deal like that, where you probably don't have a whole lot of data to support what you're trying to do?
That's why the crew chiefs get paid such the big dollars. That's why they're sought after. And we have a really good brain trust at Don Schumacher Racing. We have all A-plus crew chiefs on each and every team, and they're able to bounce off of each other, and we're learning off of each other because we know what each car is capable of doing. And when you get to a track like that, that's why drivers love driving. You know what I mean? Our drives are fairly simple. Only thing we could do is jack everything up for sure. But besides that, our main focus is just to get in the car, be consistent with it, and we have to keep it in a center groove without jerking on the steering wheel. The less movement on the steering wheel, the quicker, and that's where it comes real critical on days like it was Sunday where it was hot, where you cannot steer on that car. If you steer on it, you're breaking those good gears loose going down the racetrack. And then the crew chiefs, they want somebody that could go in there and do the same thing over and over again, consistent, so then when they make a move on the car, you can see it on the racetrack and not because the car's all over the place. So, it's like anything. It's like any other sport where it takes everybody to make those great results happen. Like it takes all the way down to even a guy who is just it could be a guy just putting the tape over top of your breather tank, you know what I mean? Or the guy's plugging your electronic system in, or your clutch guy, or your cylinder head guy. I mean, every guy or girl on that team is crucial to that equation. If one person messes up, you're not winning that round, brother. Trust me.
Your crew chiefs, Mark Oswald, Brian Karate, I mean, they've won championships with you in a whole bunch of races. But how much do they let you in on their tune when you get into it? I mean, do you have a pretty good idea what they're planning on, or do they just say, "Shut up, kid, get in there and drive it"?
Hey, Brian, he'll give me the eyeball. Like, what are you looking at? No, but joking aside, Marty, is that I'm right up there in the lounge with those guys, and it's one of those schools that you can't go to. You know what I mean? That they don't offer. And I just watch all the different things that Brian and Mark do up there, and how they communicate with Mike, our clutch guy, or our assistant crew chief Brad, and they're going back and forth, and it's crazy because I'll listen to them, and sometimes I have to just get up and walk out the room because what happens is if you stay there too long, your mind starts feeling like a bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah.
Like you got brain waves going every different direction. I was like, hey, B, where you going? I said, I don't need to listen no more. I'm gonna go out here and get my mind on something else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. A new teammate, Sean Langdon, joining you for the countdown at least. What was it like to see a new face, I guess, but an old face there in your own pit?
Well, I tell you what, man, that Sean coming over, me and him are really good friends too, so we do a lot of stuff outside the racetrack together, either playing basketball or playing softball leagues together. and it's pretty cool to see him over there doing what he's doing, man. And he's just over there having fun. I mean, and that's one thing about it. He's out here. He loves what he does. He has a passion for it, and it's pretty awesome to see that team, our Red Fuel Sandvik team, get a shot at running for a championship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was definitely sad to definitely see Spencer go, man, because that kid's just incredible with the talent that he has and everything that he's done here at DSR and all the races they have won. And that team had no place to go because they lost their driver. And then when Sean stepped in, they gave him that, that ray of hope again to be back in the countdown. So it's definitely a win-win situation for that team and for all of DSR for sure. And we're having fun out there, man. Everybody's out there having fun. And the only thing about it is, Marty's like, we got another car out there that can kick our butt, brother.
Yeah.
So that's the bad part about it, because Sean's an incredible driver. Todd Okahara and Phil Schuler, and that whole Red Fuel Sandvik team is an incredible championship contending team, man. That they're serious, brother, and they got all the pieces to make it happen now.
Speaking of which, I guess kind of on that same track, just announced here maybe not even an hour ago that Alan Johnson's going to move over, at least for the countdown, and tune on Steve Torrance's car. Just wanted to get your reaction on that.
Wow, I didn't even know that was happening.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, well, I tell you one thing is that AJ, well, everybody knows all the championships he's won. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's sad to see his team not racing the countdown. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
right.
it's money. And to see him go over Steve Torrance, that's definitely going to give them a boost. But, well, they already have Richard Hogan over there.
Right.
The car already runs great. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now what you're seeing is you're seeing all these teams with multiple crew chiefs, like my team. You got Brian and Mark. You go over to Langman's car that's driving right now. It's got Phil and Todd. You go over there to Jack Beckman's car. They got three. They got Prost,
Yeah.
Cunningham, and they got Medlin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got all these teams with multiple crew chiefs, and what it does is an extra set of eyes and ears and mind power goes a long way in these fuel cars, because they got these systems of the way they tune them and all the different stuff that's on the race cars. It's mind-boggling. It's overwhelming for one guy to look at, where you definitely need somebody to go there, like Mike Green and Neil on the Army car. That's why they have such a good relationship, because they're able. The more eyes you got, the more small things that you can find before they plague you or end up hurting you going down the racetrack. So that's definitely going to be an added bonus for Steve Torrance over there. And they were already a contending team. They made the countdown, and Steve-O's running great.
Yeah.
And he's a great driver, and Hogan's a great crew chief. Well, now they're going to add another bonus to the mix, the championship-tending crew chief Alan Johnson. So, man, that's definitely going to make it harder on everybody else out there for sure.
Yeah, I think so. And you know what the good news is here, Antron, is you're headed to St. Louis. They probably just ought to go ahead and change the name of that place to Antron Brown Raceway, because you just own that place.
Man, I don't know what it is about St. Louis, but it's always been it's a good racetrack surface and just the atmosphere out there. And our car runs good there, man. Like, you go different places and different cars just run good there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And St. Louis has always been really good to us, to our setup. And hopefully it keeps on panning out that way. We're going to go out there and hit qualifying hard, and we'll see what we can make happen out there.
Driver of the Matco Tools Top Fuel Dragster for Don Schumacher Racing, winner of the Carolina Nationals here at zMAX Dragway, and now the points leader. Only 9 over Tony Schumacher, but a whole bunch over the rest of the field. Could be a 2-horse race heading down to the end of the countdown. Antron, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on your win, and good luck. Not that you really need it, going being 3 in a row at St. Louis, but good luck this weekend in Gateway.
Well, thanks, Marty. Thanks for having me on, brother, and hopefully we get to talk to you again.
Absolutely. We will do that. If you end up with that Wally again, we'll definitely have you on for 4 in a row.
Absolutely. That sounds good, brother. Well, hey, we'll catch you on the rebound, hopefully,
All right,
man.
All right, thanks. That is Antron Brown, driver of the Matco Tools Top Fuel Dragster for Don Schumacher Racing. And when we return, the winner of the Funny Car Division, Del Worsham, will join us next.
You're listening to The Straight Line. More right after this.
Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, purchase 5 quarts of Haviland conventional motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for $16.99, or 5 quarts of Haviland Pro DS full synthetic and a MicroGuard filter for $22.99. Plus, earn double O reward points. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Play to win $1 million this week and every week this football season at DraftKings.com. With 1 week fantasy at DraftKings, you can play when you want with the team you want. Just pick your contest, pick your team, and pick up your winnings. This isn't fantasy as usual. This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free for a shot at $1 million in this week's Millionaire Maker event. Enter COAST for free entry now only at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts with Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
Thanks for being here on a Wednesday afternoon. Doug Herbert will join us again next week as he is out in Las Vegas for the Kia Dealers Convention. I am Marty Hough, and joined now on the telephone line by the driver of the DHL Funny Car for Coletta Motorsports, winner of the Funny Car Division this weekend at zMAX Dragway. Del Worsham joins us. Del, congratulations. Picked a really good time to pick up your first win this year.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a great time. Had some tough losses, up to that point, and just kept telling myself and the team, that hey, all these losses that we suffered at this point, and all these close rounds, hopefully they'll all pay off in the countdown, and it'll all come around at the right time. And boy, did it ever! Boy,
on Friday, ran an impressive 99 with a 3 to vault you up to the second qualifying place. On Saturday, ran a really good 4:12, which was probably going to be about as good as it was going to get. But then Tommy Johnson Jr. runs a 4:07 at that point, which was kind of a jaw-dropping run. At that point, did you kind of know that, hey, there may be more out there?
Yeah, we definitely knew that there was more out there, and the lanes were kind of going back and forth on which one was better, which one was worse, which one was better for our combination, and maybe his. So we kind of thought maybe there was a small advantage in the right lane when it got real hot out, and he ran the 4:07 in the right lane, and we ran the 4:12 in the left lane, and we left a little bit on the table, and he probably nailed it, got pretty much everything he could get out of it. So come time for final round. After what we experienced Saturday and watching him run, we knew in the final round we had to take a pretty good shot at it, and they put us over in the right lane, which was kind of the lane we were looking at anyways, and it just all worked out great.
Antron was on before you, and he kind of talked about the lanes going back and forth, that right lane on Friday was probably not the place to be, but the safety safari came out, it did some improvements on the track. From Saturday to Sunday, what were you kind of looking at as far as lane choice?
Well, yeah, they definitely Safety Safari did come out, and they worked on the lanes and they did some grinding and they definitely improved them. We were just looking at trying to make the fastest run down whatever lane. We didn't really have lane choice, so we were kind of stuck in the lane they gave us, and just trying to again use the experience we had from Saturday, and watching how Tommy ran and everybody ran in the heat there, and using that information and basically just trying to throw it out on the table there in the final, making sure we didn't leave anything behind, and if there was a thousandth to be gained, we tried to get it, and it just worked out. So yeah, it was a little bit of a gamble in the final, but it wasn't anything we didn't think we couldn't do, and luckily it all worked out.
As most know, that you've spent a little time as a crew chief for Alexis DeJoria and her team, and now joining forces over at Coletta Motorsports. How much is that time with Alexis helped you in what you're doing now? Not only as far as knowing just kind of how the crews are working and what's going on with the tune-ups and that sort of thing. But stuff like checking out the lanes and what the lanes are doing, whether it's qualifying or in eliminations, and how that kind of changes your mindset.
Well, I'm by no means the the crew chief or the tuner here. We have engineers from TRD that are out there, and from Toyota and TRD, and they're watching the lanes and they're giving us updates as the day goes on. And then I have my two crew chiefs, Nikki Bonifani and Jono, and that's what their decisions. But I do keep my eye on it, and whatever advice I can lend to them, I do the best I can. And it's hard to say, whether or not it's a good idea to have a driver know a lot about the car, or it's better off just knowing nothing about it and just driving. It's really it's that argument could probably go back and forth a million different ways. But this, unfortunately or fortunately, I have been involved in it. I have been part of it, and I like to know about it. It keeps me occupied, and hopefully once in a while, I can lend some kind of advice that helps out. And I try not to sway any decisions that they may have because it's kind of their job. You need to let the people do their job. Let the people you hire do their jobs, and you can't be micromanaging or staring over their shoulders. But at the same time, you want to make sure that whatever we're doing is best for the entire team. And I think right now we have a pretty good combination going between myself and Jono and Nikki and Dave Boyer and the entire team. They're working awful good together right now, and the car is really starting to come together, and it's making some good runs. And looking forward to this whole countdown right now.
And as most know, you've been at this quite a while and can do just about anything on that car. Speaking of which, your dad was out here this weekend getting a chance to play around as well.
He was, yeah, it was really neat. Brought my dad's car out with Shane Westerfield driving, and really, I came home a couple weeks ago, and I was in the shop there, and it just, my dad's still capable, and he can still come out, and I can still spend time with him. So to be able to bring his car out and spend some time with my dad, and got the car qualified, and they happened to even win a round, which was definitely cool. And we're going to go ahead and bring it to St. Louis also, and then and then up to Reading, just providing everything goes as planned and well. So now it's fun to just get to hang out with my dad and see him run the car, and just kind of work at the whole program.
Del, like I mentioned, you and your dad, you've been at this a long time. This year in Funny Car has maybe been one of the most, I don't know if historic is the word, but I mean there has been so much change and so much happening in the Funny Car class. Do you ever remember a year that was like this, where it started off and then all of a sudden just the class started making leaps and bounds as far as the time and ETs, and it's really been phenomenal what these cars have done within just a couple of months.
Yeah, well, I have been thinking about it. The only time I really got involved with something that jumped this fast or this quick with performance gains was probably 1991. I have to look back to my rookie year, and I remember we were all kind of equal and all kind of running about the same, and then we got to Indy, and the Hawaiian Punch Funny Car doubled up and just absolutely destroyed all of us there. And he had these magic cylinder heads on his car. So from that point forward, we were all in the cylinder head thing, and I was up at Dart, and Dart got us some cylinder heads, and he basically was 10 miles an hour ahead of the class. And Richard Maskin and everybody at Dart, they got us these new cylinder heads, and we went out and we actually ran. Like within, as a matter of fact, I think at the final race of the season, we actually had top speed of the meet and actually overcome them a little bit at that point. So you have to go back almost to my rookie season, nearly 25 years ago, when I've seen something happen this fast and this dramatic.
Has Jono recovered? He took some pretty good shots there at the start line during that mosh pit after you went through the traps.
I haven't spoke to him myself, but he's a pretty big boy and he's pretty tough. So I would say it would take more than that to hurt Jono. He might be a little bit sore, but he's a tough dude. Man.
Yeah, I think so. What can we expect out of St. Louis? Second round last year. Now that you're in the points lead, and obviously now the hunted instead of the hunter, what can we expect out of St. Louis this weekend?
I think it's going to be fast. The temperature looks great. The weather looks good. It's going to be pretty cool. It looked like low to mid 80s. I talked to a friend of mine who was there who said it's pretty dry right now, the weather. So I think we're going to see some awful fast times, and I think we're going to have to race St. Louis the same way we raced Reading, or the same way we raced Charlotte and all the way through. And we better race every round like it's our last right now, and make sure we don't leave anything on the table.
How much are you, the team, Coletta Motorsports, and others looking ahead to Reading? Obviously, we can't pull out the crystal ball and look 2 weeks ahead, but in the back of everybody's mind is that possibility of world records, especially in funny car, with as much as things have changed there, that there may be another 20 points, which could be really crucial in the championship going ahead to Pomona.
Right. Well, it's going to be dictated by weather. We haven't as a group, at least I haven't with the crew chief even spoke at Reading at this point. We look forward to St. Louis and what we have to do there, and then I think when we get through there, we will we'll look at Reading, because again, it's going to be dictated by weather. You know, if it's warm there, the car's going to slow down. If we get those cool conditions, it's just going to be crazy fast. So probably just wait and see what happens. Get through St. Louis right now, try to do the best we can there, leave there with as much as we can, and go to Reading with the same attitude.
How much is qualifying going to play into your strategy going ahead? Obviously, the little points. I mean, if we're coming down to, we've seen it over the last 5 years or so. We head down to Pomona, and it's 5 points here, 7 points here, 3 points there, where those little points in qualifying really add up.
They do, and they could be a factor in the end, and also just making good runs and kind of using that information. That's what we did in Charlotte. You know, the information we got from Saturday, we took it right into Sunday, and when it came time to run final round, we knew we'd run a 4:12 and a 4:08 on Saturday, and kind of had an idea what the track would take for the second or for the semifinals and the finals in Charlotte, and kind of use that information in the final. And I think it really helped us a lot, you know, and I think every single race is going to be that way right now. I would hope to think that we don't leave anything on the table. We use all the information we can. We use every run, you know, to the best of our advantage right now, and just try and minimize mistakes and just kind of see where we are here.
He is the driver of Scott Coletta's DHL funny car for Coletta Motorsports, the winner in the funny car division at zMAX Dragway in the Carolina Nationals, and now the points leader in funny car heading into St. Louis. Del Worsham, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Good luck this weekend in St. Louis.
Okay, Marty, thank you very much. And tell Doug, hopefully we'll talk to him next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Del Worsham, driver of the DHL funny car, and headed to St. Louis with the points lead. Should be interesting, especially with as much as funny car has gained over the last couple of months. It's going to be the division to watch, and we'll have our eye on it for sure. Coming up around the corner, we will talk to the winner again of the Pro Stock division, a lady that is on fire. Eric Anders Stevens joins us next.
This is The Straight Line. More right after this.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
O'Reilly's Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts is ending soon. You won't want to miss the store-wide savings and double point deals on over 150 items. And if you're not already a member, sign up today during O'Rewards Member Appreciation Month. It's fast, easy, and free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's The Straight Line.
Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Here's more with Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
Thanks for being here on a Wednesday afternoon. Doug Herbert will be back here in the studio next week. I'm Marty Hough, and joined right now by the driver of the Elite Motorsports Chevy Camaro and the winner of the Pro Stock division at zMAX Dragway this weekend, Eric Anders Stevens. Thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations, 3 in a row. Like you said in the media center afterwards, this is a bit of a dream come true for you.
Yeah, it really is. I feel like I have to pinch myself. It's pretty crazy. We've never been able to win 3 in a row, and we've been close a couple times, but never got it done until last weekend. So it's just an incredible 3-race stretch, I guess.
and the first one ever, according to Bob Fry, and he's the one that keeps up on all this stuff. The first one to win 3 in a row, all on hole shots. That's amazing.
It's pretty crazy. I talked with Lewis Bloom and Bob Fry yesterday and today, and that's a pretty cool stat. I can't believe it.
Also, it seems like every time you let out the clutch, you're making history. Tied for most wins in a season with Angel. Also put you ahead of Shirley in wins as well, Shirley Muldowney. Me and Doug were just talking, I believe it was after Indy, that there was a photo that kind of went viral on social media with you and Shirley and Angel at Indy. And so it was kind of ironic that all these things kind of came about all at the same time.
Yeah, it was a pretty neat deal. I mean, to have Shirley out at the event where we were able to tie her was pretty neat. And then, to join her and Alexis and Ashley as the only female, and Angel, as the only females to have ever won the U.S. Nationals was pretty cool. It's just like one of those deals, like we just keep going on these records, and it's crazy. I don't get it, but Geiger, my PR guy, took a picture of Shirley, Angel, and I on the starting line right before Angel made a pass, and just a really neat photo. I mean, the three of us haven't been photographed together since I joined their elite club of women's champions, so it's a pretty neat deal.
An incredibly consistent race car. Obviously the one behind the wheel makes a difference, but the car from the second run, 58.8, 58.6, 58.1. I mean, within thousandths of a second. I know you lean a lot on your guys, but boy, having a car that you know what's going to happen, or have a pretty good idea what's going to happen when you let the clutch out, has got to be really key for you.
It really is. I mean, it makes my job as a driver a lot easier because I don't have to get nervous about what's going to happen with our race car, if we're going to get down, if we're going to shake, go right, go left. I mean, all of that is out of my mind. When the guys shut the door and I pull forward the stage, like, I know that race car is underneath me. And that's a really cool feeling to have. Granted, things happen from time to time, whatever, but we're all human. But, it kind of goes back to the World Finals last year. If you look at our ETs, I mean, we ran, it was like a bracket car. We ran within thousands of every pass, and it's just really cool. So I'm able to clear my head and go up there and try to crush the tree and hit my shift points. And to be honest, I mean, my crew chiefs and I were talking in Charlotte on Saturday night when we were, just trying to figure out our race day setup, and they said, tomorrow's going to be survival of the fittest. It's going to be a hot, really tricky racetrack. The more cars that go down it, the more the rubber is going to be torn up. So, and you can see that, on the TV coverage, all the white marks on the racetrack, and that's the rubber that was torn up. So we were having to navigate that, and being third out, one of the elimination rounds, both people in front of me shook the tires, and so I was like, ooh, man, this is going to be tough. And my crew chief at that moment comes on the radio and says, we're going to be just fine. So the confidence in his voice gives me a peace of mind, and we just work so well together. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was going to lead right up into my next question. You did see some pedal fests out there in Pro Stock. That's crazy. Maybe one, but I mean, we saw that a couple of times where both cars were just kind of dead and they had to take off. When you get in there, you've got a crew chief in your head saying, we're going to be all right. But obviously, in the back of your mind as a driver, you are thinking, okay, what is my next step if this thing shakes? For you, what is that?
It's definitely interesting because it's not something that us Pro Stock drivers get to practice a lot, and it's pretty crazy to pedal one of those cars because you can easily just ruin the clutch, and it's purple and all melted together when you pull it out when something like what Shane and Larry had to do happens. So you just kind of have to have the mindset. You go from just wanting to kill the tree and getting your eyes high and hitting your first shift point to, okay, if this thing shakes, I got to be prepared to pedal, and you can't re-engage the clutch with your foot. You just have to be on top of it, and it's not something that you could really prepare for, if that makes any sense. So you just kind of got to drive by the seat of your pants. And the last time that I had to do that was in Reading, and I caught it pretty quickly, and we recovered, but we weren't able to get the win. But it was the best pedal job that I had ever done. So, of course, I'm hopeful that I can repeat that if I ever have to. Yeah,
Larry Morgan said that he, quote, nuked the clutch, and he said all I did was just grab it into high gear and just floor it. Is that basically what happens at that point?
Well, it kind of depends on where you are on the racetrack and what gear you can get the transmission to go into. So if you shake immediately, like off the starting line, it's kind of hard to just put it into high gear because you have so much distance to travel, and it's just a different lockup. So if it happens right away, I try to grab the lowest gear that I can. And it's usually a push gear, so it would probably be third, and that way I could still try to travel through fourth and fifth gear. If it happens down the racetrack a little bit, then just throw it into high gear and go. But you just kind of, like I said, you kind of just got to wing it and see what happens, because you never know what the cars are capable of doing, and sometimes they won't accept the gear that you put it in. You got to try another one, and it's definitely interesting.
So the round of the day comes down to you and Alan Johnson in the semis, and we all know that you're good friends and you like to play with each other. And Alan did that, absolutely top bulbed you and left on you. Have you talked to him since?
Yeah, we texted after. I mean, we talked down at the finish line, and he joked and acted like he was going to throw water in my hood scoop. And, just goofing around. But AJ is definitely my best friend that I have out there. It's interesting competing against him, but, I know exactly what he's capable of over there. And he's one of the drivers, and there's nothing wrong with it, but he's one of the drivers that's notorious for playing starting line games. Larry Morgan's another one. And it is what it is, and you just got to learn how to work around it. And I always say, there's one of three things that can happen. They can double bulb you, they can hang you out, or they can stage normal. So, there's only three scenarios that you have to be prepared for, so it's really not that hard. But when he went up there and lit his top bulb, my guys were still setting my wheelie bars, so it's like, oh, man, he's going to be sitting up there for a second until they're done. So when my guys shut the door or whatever, I just took a deep breath, and I figured he was showing me his hand having that top bulb on, that as soon as I lit my top bulb, he was going to go in. And he didn't do that, and I was like, all right, well, now he's going to hang me out. So I just went right in, and he followed probably 6.5 seconds later, and he did leave on me, which I was not very happy about, because when I let the clutch pedal out, I knew I was a little bit late. It wasn't a horrible light. It was 30, but it's not my typical, 10 to 15. So I knew that I was a little late, and I'm so thankful that my Elite Performance horsepower got us to the stripe first, but I joked with AJ. I'm like, of course you can have a 10 light when you stage with your back tires, just joking that he staged it pretty deep or whatever. And again, nothing against AJ. He's my best buddy, but we like to crap talk each other a little bit, and he's a tremendous driver. So that was definitely the lucky round of the day. 4,000 to the second is too close to call for me.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Considering how close the championship came last year, how much are you watching qualifying points? Obviously, those add up, and when you're talking about 1 or 2 or 0 heading into Pomona, those points really do matter at the end of the year.
Absolutely, and that's one of the first things that Dave Reef said, before I got to go up on stage last year and give my speech, is that our team accumulated more bonus points than any team out there during the countdown, and had we not done that, we probably wouldn't have been able to win the championship. So absolutely, every point matters. We're going out there and doing our best every qualifying session. Greg definitely did a better job than us during qualifying, and unfortunately, one of the passes we hurt a motor pretty bad, and I had to shut off, so we didn't get any qualifying points that round. So, every point is going to matter, and we're going to do our best to qualify consistently. And you can't control everything. You just got to do the best that you can with your car and your lane, and things will fall how they may.
The win gives you, and obviously you're going to be up on it. It doesn't matter any time that you get into the beams, but it gives you an 83-point lead going into St. Louis. So your mindset heading into St. Louis were last year you were a semifinalist.
Well, definitely, the momentum is huge. I've always said that you create your own, but what we've done the last 3 races is pretty awesome. So we're going to carry that momentum, and it for sure is a confidence booster. I mean, we're going in knowing what we're capable of, but not getting ahead of ourselves. I said it a couple times this weekend, but Jag Coughlin is a good friend of mine, and I was fortunate enough to have him as a teammate some this year, and he's just a wealth of knowledge, and to have him around is a huge asset to me. So prior to the Charlotte race, he sent my whole team a text and just said, we've earned the position to be here. We've done an awesome job up to this point. You got to race smart. You got to race calculated and take every round one at a time. Don't get ahead of yourself. And that's such good advice. You can't change Sunday afternoon on Friday during qualifying. So you just got to focus on every qualifying round, and then on Sunday, every round of eliminations, and not think about the points as much as we want to win the championship back-to-back, but just do what we do, and everything will fall how it's supposed to. And that was, like, the best advice we could have ever gotten heading into the first race of the countdown. So, and then on Sunday morning, my team owner, Richard Freeman, he held a team meeting, and it's so motivating. It's so awesome to work in such a positive environment where everybody's swimming in the right direction and has each other's backs. And, I had a couple issues on Sunday with my race car, one being parts failure on a clutch. I was so lucky that it happened during warm-up and whatever, and everyone from Drew's team jumped in on my car, and we barely made the call for second round, but that's what it's all about. It's having a group of guys that stand behind you and pull in the right direction. It's such a cool environment to work in. I can't say it enough.
You've butted heads quite a few times with Jag Coughlin on the track. What's it like for you to have him as a teammate, albeit a couple of times? How much have you been able to pick his brain a little bit?
It's been awesome, really. I mean, he whooped my butt in Seattle. We had some interesting things happen, and I know exactly what Jag brings to the table. He's probably the best driver our class has ever seen. He just made history last weekend in Ohio, being the only driver in NHRA history to win in 7 different categories. So that speaks volumes for the caliber of driver he is, and then just his character and the type of person he is pretty cool too. I mean, to be as successful as he is on the racetrack and in the business world, and to still be so humble and gracious is pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, I've been able to pick his brain a lot, and he was super helpful in Indy. He was uncharacteristically late first round and lost, and he was in my pit the next round, and I struggled a little bit on Sunday just mentally, and he was there to kind of help pick it up, and we've worked together on clutch linkage and stuff for reaction times, and I was able to pick his brain, and we were within like 1 or 2 thousandths of each other on setup. So it just goes to show that we're both very consistent drivers, but having him in my corner is just like, just to solidify the answers to the questions that I have is pretty neat.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Good things happen to good people, and this lady has won 3 races in a row, and she has a sizable point lead heading into the next event in St. Louis this weekend. Eric Enders-Stevens, driver of the Elite Motorsports Chevy Camaro. Thanks so much for your time and joining us today on the Straight Line after 3 in a row. Congratulations on that, and good luck in St. Louis.
Thank you so much.
Eric Enders-Stevens joining us on the Straight Line. When we return, we will wrap up another great edition of the show.
You're listening to The Straight Line. More right after this.
The following is a disclaimer from ToyotaRacing.com. Team Toyota is all about speed and precision. But all that speed and precision can be dangerous if not handled by professionals. Imagine the repercussions of an amateur behind the wheel of a Team Toyota stock car. Oh boy. Even our official site, ToyotaRacing.com, can be dangerous. Some common repercussions of visiting our site may include constant refreshing in hopes of new content, dry eyes due to not blinking, memorizing race results, inclusion of Kyle Busch in your dreams, referring to your wife as Matt Kenseth or Denny Hamlin or simply Toyota, phantom scrolling motions, ordering every single Toyota Racing t-shirt, checking for a gas pedal under your desk, missing your kid's soccer game or school play, but please don't forget that you've got kids, they'll miss you if you're always on ToyotaRacing.com, tennis elbow, replacing the wheels on your office chair every 30 minutes like a pit crew, or even changing all your passwords to Toyota Racing 123.
So, for news, videos, and exclusive NASCAR content, visit ToyotaRacing.com. But please, visit responsibly. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, Inc.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now here's Marty Hough and Doug Herbert.
Big thanks to Antron Brown, Del Worsham, and Eric Anders Stevens for joining us on The Straight Line this week. Doug Herbert will be back with us here in the studio next week. Also wanted to mention other big winners from this weekend. Andrew Hines makes it 2 in a row at zMAX. He was the winner at the 4 wides. Andrew Hines now atop the points standings in Pro Stock Bike with his win over Matt Smith. A really good weekend for Matt Smith. They've been struggling with that victory motorcycle, making it all the way to the final round. So Andrew Hines right now leading the way. Eddie Krawick, Jerry Savoie, Matt Smith, Hector Arana, your top 5 right now, as you see on the screen, in Pro Stock Motorcycle and Pro Stock Car. Eric Anders Stevens, who we just talked to, with an 83-point lead over Greg Anderson and 104 back to Chris McGahey, 109 to Alan Johnson, and 117 back to Larry Morgan. This may turn into a runaway. I don't want to hand her the trophy quite yet, but you have a full 4 rounds on your next opponent. That's fairly significant. Antron Brown leading the way in Top Fuel right now. Only 9 over Tony Schumacher, but 82, 85, and 98 over Larry Dixon, J.R. Todd, and Richie Crampton. And while we're at it, over in Funny Car, Del Worsham leading the way, as we mentioned. Tommy Johnson Jr., 6 back. And then it gets really interesting. 34 back to Jack Beckman, 48 to Hagen, and 56 to Force. Beckman, Hagen, Force, chasing all of those guys. That is going to be really, really interesting. Danny Rowe, also the winner of Pro Modifieds this weekend. Boy, it was an interesting weekend in Pro Mods. Slick track, hot track, fairly new surface. Pro Mods were all over the place. Loves me some Pro Mods, and they put on a great show this weekend at zMAX Dragway. Recapping really quick what happened just before we came on the air, and I'll read it right off the press release. Steve Torrance took a bold step forward in his bid to become the first driver to win an NHRA World Championship in both fuel and alcohol divisions when he announced Wednesday the hiring of Alan Johnson to work with crew chief Richard Hogan on the Capco Contractors Dragster beginning this weekend at the AAA Insurance Midwest Nationals at Gateway Motorsports Park. So that means that Alan Johnson is going to be lending his talents and his many, many championships to Steve Torrance's team. They're going to have they have a lot to overcome. They're 9th in points but right now, but they could be spoilers during the countdown. Again, big thanks to Antron Brown, Del Worsham, and Eric Anders Stevens for joining us today on The Straight Line. So for everybody involved here at the Motor Racing Network, I'm Marty Hough. We will join you next week here on The Straight Line.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Tune in next Wednesday at noon for more NHRA talk. The Straight Line is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.